Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
Going on, everybody? Welcome into a Monday evening edition of The Rome Show here on YouTube.com/The Romanellas, Twitter X, and Instagram. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 30 minutes as we get you ready for a two-pack of Monday Night Football and Game 7 in the American League Championship Series. So we hope we fill that 30-minute void before a 4-hour filled evening of sports. You can tune into the show on YouTube.com/The Romanellas. That's YouTube.com/The Romanellas. Twitter X and Instagram, The Rome Show 1. That's The Rome Show, then the number 1. And Facebook, the OG social media site, just The Rome Show. There, The Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, just get your podcasts. And lastly, you can comment live on all those sites and we'll get those thoughts. We got our weekend's worst and our weekend's best. We have Monday evening QB. We'll take you through all the games that happened on Sunday. Then we'll get you ready for tonight. The Buccaneers at the Lions and the Texans at the Seahawks. Plus, Shane Bieber takes the hill for the Toronto Blue Jays and George Kirby takes the hill for the Seattle Mariners. So we'll give you our thoughts on Game 7 in the American League Championship Series. Let's get this thing started with what we feel is the worst of the weekend. We have 3 of them for you. Let's start in Denver. Your first weekend's worst is the New York Football Giants, and more specifically, the New York Football Giants defense. If you didn't see it, well, the Giants gave up 33 points. That's warrants another trombone. 33 in the fourth quarter alone to lose to the Denver Broncos 33-32. Not only did the New York Giants do something that I've never seen before, which is give up 30-plus points in the fourth quarter alone, they missed 2 extra points, which really ultimately led to the loss. And for the first time in 162 attempts, a team has lost when leading by 18 or more points with 10 or less minutes remaining. So your first weekend worst instantaneously to the New York Football Giants and their defense. I do not know how you repair what goes on the defensive side of the ball with this football team. I don't know if I've ever seen a defense be so Jekyll and Hyde than the 2025 New York Football Giants defense. They're your number 1 weekend's worst. We're going to stay with a team that is also housed in MetLife Stadium. Yes, they are the New York Jetropolitans, your second weekend's worst. But we're not going to poo-poo on the 0-7 New York Jetropolitans. No, your weekend's worst specifically goes to Justin Fields. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's not often that you're going to trade for a guy or get a guy and sign him to a 2-year deal and then 7 games in, not only realize how poor this decision was, but you benched the man for a career journeyman in Tyrod Taylor. If you are being benched for Tyrod Taylor, there's no weekend that gets worse than you. When you're already on an 0-7 football team and you're being benched for a career backup that then went in and threw 2 interceptions, it cannot get worse for Justin Fields. By the way, here are the statistics for the New York Jets offense. They are 29th in the league in yards per game, 32nd in the league in passing yards per game, 27th in the league in points per game. But how about this? Ninth in the league in rushing yards per game at 107 plus per game. They got to lean into that. They got to lean into ball control. They got to lean into burning the clock. They have to lean into old school football, pass the ball 18 times, find a way to get this defense better, and hold on to the rock. But I think there is a serious chance that this New York Jets football team does not win a game the rest of the year. I think when you look at their schedule, there's really only a few options on the table. They have one left with the Miami Dolphins, and that's at home. I don't know if that even matters or not, but it's at home against the lowly 1-6 Miami Dolphins. They have the Cleveland Browns, but again, the Cleveland Browns, who are 2-5, just destroyed that same Dolphins team 31-6 over the weekend. Okay. You have the Saints, but that's a really tough 1-5, 1-6 team. They really are. They play everyone hard. Okay. And that's it. Like, I don't believe you're beating the Bills. I don't believe you're beating the Patriots. I don't believe you're beating the Jags. I don't believe you're beating the Falcons, the Ravens, the Bengals. I don't even believe you're beating the Browns. I don't think you're beating the Dolphins. Like, I don't think this is a good football team, but I don't know where you go from here. But there's a real chance the Jets are 0-17 at the end of this thing. Justin Fields, second worst of the weekend. Our third worst is going to come from the Diamond. And I'm really sad to do this to this player, but it was a rough weekend for not only this player, but this player's team. Christian Yelich gets my third and final weekend's worst. Why do you say this, Andrew? Because the Milwaukee Brewers, they may have played a little bit above the line that people believed they would play to. But Christian Yelich, for the last decade, has been a name in this league. I'm not saying he's a superstar. I'm not saying he's a top 5 outfielder in Major League Baseball, but he is the guy in Milwaukee. He is who they've had as their quote unquote star for the last nearly decade. Okay. And why is he getting the weekend's worst? Because his Milwaukee Brewers were swept in 4 games. Christian Yelich was 0 for 3 with a K in game 4, closing the door on a postseason where he hit 182 with 1 extra base hit and 9 Ks in 33 at-bats. The guy, the person that's supposed to be the dude for the Milwaukee Brewers in 27 postseason games in his career, is hitting 218 in 101 at-bats with 29 Ks, 6 extra base hits, and 3 RBIs. Just goes to show you that where the player is playing goes a long way into how you talk about his clutchness or their clutchness. You know, this same kind of scenario is happening with Aaron Judge, and he was eviscerated until he did what he did in the postseason this year. It was like, oh, well, doesn't matter what he does in the regular season. You know, yeah, can't show up in the postseason. We throw everything out the window. Career 300 hitter out the window. Well, you kind of take a step back and look at Christian Yelich, and he's never delivered in the postseason for the Milwaukee Brewers. And now they find themselves at home, while the Dodgers, they look to go for a back-to-back World Series. Those are your weekend's worst. Let's get to some fun stories, ladies and gentlemen. How about our weekend's best? Your first one, stay in Major League Baseball. The Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, they are. I mean, listen, 12 NL West titles in the last 13 years. You're going for your third World Series championship since 2020 and your second in a row. First time in nearly 25 years that has happened. Yeah, you are simply the best. And there has been a lot of conversation in the last few days. Are the Los Angeles Dodgers ruining baseball? Is what the Dodgers are doing hurting baseball? Quick side note, good on Dave Roberts for what he said. If you didn't see his comments, go check him out. He essentially said, let's go ruin baseball, 4 more victories and another World Series championship. But I don't think the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I think baseball's got its own issues. Okay? I think what the Dodgers are doing is they're exploiting the system and they're taking advantage of the fact that there are probably 10 to 12 owners in this league that don't want to spend money. That's a fact. And I'm also not saying that everyone needs to be the Dodgers or the Mets or the Yankees and spending upwards of $300 million a year on payroll. I don't think that's it either. But I don't think what the Pirates do or what the Brewers might do or what some of these other lower level teams, the Marlins, might do, I don't think that's right either. I do believe a lot of these teams can pay and keep some of these people. I've seen a lot of posts recently where it's like, is it the Dodgers' fault that the Red Sox didn't want to pay Mookie Betts, right? Is it the Dodgers' fault that the Tampa Bay Rays didn't want to sign Blake Snell, right? It's like, no, it's not the Dodgers' fault. Every team in Major League Baseball has the chance to spend the money to get those players. And I get it. Oh, well, we don't make as much money as those. Okay, we'll find a way. You're also a business. But, and it's kind of like the Jerry Jones principle, it's probably less about the winning and more about the business. Either way, I don't think that the Dodgers are the problem. I think baseball is the problem. And unfortunately, unless you create a floor and a ceiling of some sorts, call it a salary cap, call it a salary floor, whatever, I don't know if it ever changes. Like, I don't think it's going to change. I mean, because if you think about it, this has been the model of baseball for years. This is not like a 2025 thing. This is a history of baseball thing. There's been 3 tiers. 10 to 12 teams that don't want to spend money. They develop players. They have one chance every 10 to 12 years, and then they ship those really good guys off and hope for another chance over the next 10 to 12 years. Then there's a second tier of teams that they spend a little bit of money. They'll make a splash signing here and there. They're clearly committed, think Cleveland Guardians, to winning, but they're also trying to do some really creative things so that they're not insane on the payroll. And then there's a third tier, which is we're going to spend whatever the hell we need to spend to get what we need on our roster to be really good. And that's what the Dodgers are doing. It's what the Yankees do. It's what the Mets are trying to do. And that's been the history of baseball. So I think baseball's got a baseball issue as much as baseball has a Los Angeles Dodgers issue. But Shohei Ohtani, 10 Ks, 3 homers, first dude to ever do that, Babe Ruth type stuff. I don't believe, maybe I'm in a minority here. Maybe I'm on my own island, but I don't believe he deserved the MVP. That's just my opinion. I believe it should have been Mookie Betts. I think he's the most consistent player for that team. Shohei had a really elite game, one singular game, historical game. I don't think that was worthy of the NLCS MVP. That's just me. But the Dodgers, yeah, they were this weekend, and they're going for their second World Series. And your second and final weekend's best, back on the gridiron, Jalen Hurts. Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, welcome back to the win column. I know, myself included, and I'm still not fully up on this team. I still think there's a lot more that needs to happen. I don't think Saquon Barkley should be gaining 44 yards on the ground. Like I don't think he's breaking the run rush yards record again either, but I also don't think it should be as poor as it is, right? But Jalen Hurts, 19 of 23, 326, 3 TDs, perfect passer rating of 158.3. That would be considered. Oh, yeah. And the only time that's happened all year, Jalen Hurts, congrats on that stuff. He threw those balls to a lot of different people. Devontae Smith, though, caught most of them. 9, 183, 1 TD. A.J. Brown, 4, 121, 2 TDs. That's a lot of yardage combined between their two top receivers. Good offense looking for the Eagles over the weekend. It's The Rome Show, broadcasting live on youtube.com/The Romanellas, Twitter X, and Instagram, The Rome Show 1, and Facebook.com/The Rome Show. It is about to be that week 7. This means we take you through the National Football League. I'm going to start where we just ended the Eagles. They won that game we were just talking about, by the way, 28-22. I just mentioned what Jalen Hurts did. Carson Wentz in his redemption game, it didn't look good. He had 2 INTs, 0 touchdowns, 313 through the air. Jordan Mason had a TD on the ground. The Vikings, they are now 3-3. The Eagles now 5-2. I mentioned the Dolphins. They got slaughtered by the Browns, 31-6. Really nice game on the ground for Quinshawn Judkins for the Browns. 3 TDs, 84 yards, 25 carries. Not a great pass game for Dylan Gabriel. Didn't need to. Remember when I mentioned before what the Jetropolitans need to do? Lean into the running game. Okay, well, Dylan Gabriel only threw the ball 18 times in this game. Exactly what the Browns needed, and they slaughtered the Dolphins, who are just atrocious and probably going to go through an entire franchise reset. The Rams, they slaughtered the Jaguars 35-7 in London. Not much to talk about here outside of Puka Nacua. He did not play in this game, and the Rams still looked that good. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have a Trevor Lawrence problem. He's really not that good. We put something up on our Instagram story that we essentially reposted, and it was what the 2021 draft class looks like at the QB position. It's really not that good. The Rams 5-2, the Jags 4-3. The Bears, they won their 4th straight. They beat the Saints 26-14. Actually, a really good day for both quarterbacks in this game. And then Spencer Rattler threw 3 INTs, and that was a huge difference. Just can't turn the football over. Caleb Williams didn't need to do a lot. He didn't even throw a TD. DeAndre Swift 124, 222 yards on the ground in total for the Bears. 4-2. Saints 1-6. I said it earlier, though. That's a tough 1-6. The Patriots, they beat the Titans in Mike Vrabel's homecoming. How about this? Mike Vrabel, 5 victories as the Patriots head coach this season. Since being fired, the Titans are 4-20. So clearly not a good decision by the Tennessee franchise. Drake May looking like he could be a legitimate quarterback. Cam Ward, I don't know. A lot of this has to do with the franchise, the coaching staff, the situation, and it's not good for him right now in Tennessee. They're 1-6. The Chiefs, they blanked the Raiders 31-0. The Raiders, they don't look good. Speaking of Trevor Lawrence problem, you might have a Geno Smith problem in Las Vegas. Patrick Mahomes, 26-35, 286, 3 TDs. Isaiah Pacheco had a touchdown on the ground. The Panthers, they beat the Jets in a gross football game, 13-6, but they moved to 4-3, and they've won 3 straight. So I don't know if it's a schedule thing. I don't know if it's a Dave Canales and the team figuring it out thing, but they are 4-3. We mentioned the Jets 0-7, not good. The Broncos and the Giants, we mentioned this earlier, 33-32. How about this? Going into the 4th quarter, Bo Nix had like an average of 6 fantasy points, finished with an average of 39. That's what that 33-point 4th quarter will do for you. Do the Giants have a coaching issue? I do not know. We'll have to ask Rocky this week when he gets on the show. The Colts, they put a statement win together against the Los Angeles Chargers, 38-24. Justin Herbert had 420 yards in the loss, 3 TDs, but those 2 INTs really came back to hurt them. And you know why the Colts are good right now? Very balanced attack. 23 rushes comparative to 34 attempts, 288 through the air for Indiana Jones with 2 TDs, and 120 total with 3 TDs for Jonathan Taylor on the ground for the full Indianapolis Colts offense. Not much of a run game going right now for the Chargers, who drop now to 4-3, whereas the Colts improved to 6-1 atop the AFC. The Cowboys put a hurting on the Commanders. If the Cowboys defense can figure it out, pseudo to what they did in this game, though Jaden Daniels left and Marcus Mariota came in, this Cowboys team could be dangerous. This offense is so freaking good. 44-22, they won this game. They're 3-3-1. Commanders dropped 3-4. Packers, they defeat the Cardinals 27-23. Packers are 4-1-1, but I think they're a bad 4-1-1. I don't know if I really trust it. The Cardinals 2-5. They've lost 4 straight games by like a combined 13 points. Wild, right? And by the way, Jacoby Brissett, 25-36, 279, and 2 TDs in this game. Low-key looks like a better quarterback than Kyler Murray in this offense. I don't know if that's a good thing if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan. And finally, I guess all that love for the Atlanta Falcons goes right out the window. Andrew's top 5, rip that up, throw it away, put it down the drain. We're going to have to do that again because they got really beat by the 49ers on the road 20-10. What I thought was the most impressive by this Niners team was how they relied on Christian McCaffrey. 24 carries in this contest, 129, 2 TDs, and their defense played really well. We just watched this Atlanta team play extremely good the week before, and we've talked about how this defense is one of the best in the league, and this offense has some of the most explosive weapons. Well, the 49ers shut them down, and with Mac Jones at quarterback, continue to play really good. They're now 5-2, and the Falcons drop to 3-3. That's Monday evening quarterback here on the Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter X, and Instagram. We take a quick commercial break, and then we finish the show with a quick breakdown of the Buccaneers and the Lions, as well as the Texans and the Seahawks, plus the lines on the ALCS and Andrew's feeling on who could come out victorious in that contest. Stick with us. We're back in a minute and a half on the Rome Show. See you in a second.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's the Rome Show, broadcasting live on youtube.com/the Romanellas. Head over to youtube.com/the Romanellas. Go ahead and hit subscribe for me. We have a bunch of content on there, not just the Rome Show. Hope you enjoy it. Avid golfer over here. You can see my attempts to show you how I play the game. Whatever you want to do. The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever the heck you want. As long as you follow us and share it with a friend. We are breaking down Monday Night Football for the people right now. We got the Buccaneers and the Lions, and we have the Houston Texans versus the Seattle Seahawks. Let's start with game number 1. Detroit at home is favored in this game by 6.5 points. The total in terms of points is 54.5. The key in this game, at least first for me, came down to who is healthy. Now, reports are saying that Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka are going to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that gives Baker Mayfield and this 5-1 high-powered offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers some real happiness going into a game against another top-level NFC team. You're looking at what could be tonight a preview of the NFC Championship game if certain things break themselves down. Now, looking back on this, looks like in some areas this line has moved to 5.5, so it's kind of fluctuated between 5.5 and 6.5. I think the biggest thing also, outside of who was healthy for the Bucks, is can they slow down this offensive attack for the Lions? I don't know if over the last 2 years there's been a more consistent offense outside of the Detroit Lions. This season, the Lions are second in the league in points per game at 31.8. Now, Tampa Bay is no slouch in their own, sixth in the league at 27.5. But I do believe that the Detroit Lions defense has been a little bit stingier. And I think at home, especially, it's a completely different animal when Tampa Bay travels away comparative to playing at home as well. So it's really which defense can slow down the high-powered offenses that are about to clash against each other. That's why this line is so high, okay? Because the Detroit Lions are mid-level. They give up nearly 24 a game, and the Bucks are mid-level. They give up nearly 25 a game. So the defenses are similar. The offenses are similar. And if you're healthy on both sides, it's who can slow down who. I'm going to take the Lions winning this game, but I'm going to take the Bucks at either the +5.5 or the +6.5. Wherever you find it, I believe the Lions come out on top here, okay? But I do not believe the Bucks are going to lose this game by a touchdown. Listen, I could be wrong, but they've proven to me all season to be one of those battle teams, stay in game teams, give yourself a chance teams, and I think that's going to happen again tonight on the road. So, again, Lions on the money line, okay? Bucks, though, plus the 5.5 or 6.5, depend on where you're getting it. I would also maybe journey on top of that 54.5. I really think that, maybe around 60 points in this game could be a shootout. The second game, the Texans travel to Seattle, fresh off a bye, 2 straight victories, then a bye, sitting at 2-3. Really important game for this Houston Texans team who came out and started the year 0-3, and I don't think many people believed we're really good. And I think sometimes that's a recency bias thing when you don't play that good and you go 0-3 and you read all these stats, right? Like, whoa. In the history of the NFL, teams that start 0-2, 0-3, it's like a 4.7% chance they make the playoffs, right? Like you read all these things and you're like, oh, it's over then for them. And it's like, really? There's 14 more weeks in the season. And I understand how it definitely sets you back. But in this day and age, as 6 teams make the postseason, I mean, everyone's on the table. There's so much opportunity here. And there's just, I've said it so many times this year, there's so much parity in the National Football League this year that anybody could win at any time. And you've seen it week in, week out. Can the Texans slow down Jackson Smith-Njigba, though, averaging 116 receiving yards per game? And if you're looking for a side prop on Monday Night Football, Smith-Njigba over his receiving props. He's hit it all 6 weeks this season. How does Sam Darnold continue to play? I think that's important. He's been really good this season for the Seattle Seahawks. Probably exactly what they needed. And how consistent is CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and the offense? It hasn't been an elite rushing attack since Chubb has been hurt. But you have the weapons. And can you keep playing consistent? Again, 2 straight victories, then a bye. So you should be feeling good and rested at the same time. I do think, however, the X factor of being in Seattle, they're favored by 3.5 in this game, essentially a field goal. I think that is the X factor of Seattle. What's the weather going to be like? It's not as warm. Houston's a dome team, plus they're in Texas, right? I think all of that plays into this being a victory for Seattle. I'm going to take them at the -3.5. I'm going to take them on the banana line, and I'm actually going to take the over. It's a low number, 41.5. I think I'm going to take the over there. Both offenses are good enough. By the way, I mean that honestly. Take the Smith-Njigba prop, okay? I didn't get to see the number before I got on the show, but I read that stat earlier today, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I care about what the number is. I actually trust that. Real quick before we go here, in Major League Baseball, Game 7 tonight, Toronto hosts Seattle, okay? You got George Kirby on the hill for the Seattle Mariners, and you got Shane Bieber on the hill for Toronto Beavers. 1-0 this postseason with a 4.15 ERA. George Kirby is 0-1 with a 7.07 ERA. Toronto favored in this game and favored by a run and a half. Okay. So, if you want the money line, you're plus 110, picking the Mariners, minus 130, picking the Blue Jays. The total in this game opened at 8.5, is now dropped to 7.5. I think that's the game 7 factor. But I think a few reasons why Toronto's favored in this game. One, their offense is like hitting 40 points higher than the Mariners going into this. Their pitching staff is head and above better than the Mariners pitching staff, especially in this matchup, specifically Bieber versus Kirby. And I just think if you have Vlad Guerrero in your offense, you instantaneously are thought of as the favorite. I mean, he is raking 6 homers so far this postseason, hitting like 500. Dude is killing it, and their offense is too. So, I want the Mariners to win this game. And I really do. But I think I can't pick out of wants. I need to pick out of finances. And so I am going to take the Blue Jays here. I'm going to take them at the minus 1.5 runs. I think they'll win by 2 or more. And though I want this to be a tight game, extra innings, Mariners win, I think it's going to be like a 6-2 game. And the Blue Jays are going to the World Series to face the Dodgers. That's my prediction. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Rome Show on a Monday evening. We hope you enjoyed it. I freaking enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow morning at our normal time, 7:05 a.m. Be sure to follow the show on youtube.com/The Romanellas, Twitter X, The Rome Show 1, Instagram, The Rome Show 1, and Facebook, The Rome Show Run, or The Rome Show Podcast. You have an electric Monday evening. I will see you tomorrow. Peace!
Thank you for listening.